So this is a 2-bus plus. It looks lovely. So what's new? But a lot of work has been done into the design of the actual semi circuit, and it sounds even better than the previous one. There are 3 color circuits: one harmonics distortion circuit, one power limiter, I'll explain what that is, and one transformer saturation circuit. The power limiter is actually a 1-knob parallel compression system. So instead of having to set up a send to a compressor and a return and everything, you just turn it on and decide how much of that effect you want. The power limiter can be used on the whole mix, or it can be used on channel 1516 or channel 1314. I'll show you why that's a good idea in a minute. And the harmonics distortion can also be used on the whole mix or on 1516 or 1314. And then you have a flip button right here. If you use the harmonics distortion and the power limiter together on the whole mix, you can actually decide if you want the harmonics before or after the power limiter, which is nice. Lastly, there's an external insert button. So say you have a very prized compressor or EQ you want to put on your 2-bus, you can connect it straight to the 2-bus and turn it on and off right here, which is also nice, and it's been a request of many users for many years. So there you have it. So how does that stuff sound? It sounds lovely. Let me show you. I have here a track that sounds a little bit like this. So it's a basic rhythm section for a song I'm working on right now. Drums and bass and claps. It's coming out of Pro Tools straight into the 2-bus, and right now none of the effects are on. You'll notice that the drums are going to output 1516, which means that I can use the harmonic stimulation or the power limiter on the stem itself if I'm not deciding to use them on the whole mix. So for example, let's see what the power limiter would sound like on just the drums. I turn it on channel 1516, and here I'm going to choose how much of it I want. Maybe not that much. As you can see, it's the whole parallel compression with 1 button and 1 knob. Just how much of it do you want, and that's it. It's pretty awesome. A lot of thought was put into this knob so that it's very usable on separate stems, but also on the whole mix. Check it out. I am now going to switch the power limiter to the whole mix. So it's no longer just on the drums, but it's on the drums, the bass, and the claps all together. That's cool, but I really like what it did on the drums. However, I don't really like what it does on the claps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the claps out to stem 1314 so that I can use the harmonics on them. The harmonic stimulation can be a subtle effect, but it's very useful. It gives you that shine and that saturation at the same time, which can help you bring instruments forward in the mix. Check it out. So if I turn this on, so I have the harmonics on stun on the claps. Only the claps are going to 1314, which means I have the harmonics on 1314, only the claps get affected, while only the drums get the power limiter, which is practical. So listen to the claps with and without. With, they're not going to be brighter, they're not going to be louder, they're just going to be more present and a little more, technical term, badass. It's a badass button, check it out. Without, listen to the claps. It does this, which is very nice. It's the kind of stuff that can be hard to do, especially in an environment where everything is so clean. We have very clean preamps and very clean microphones, and very clean converters, and very clean everything. So it's nice to be able to inflate the sound a little bit by adding some dirt, but not some really bad dirt, some dangerous level dirt. All right. So next, the transformer. A lot of people like the sound of vintage gear, and I like the sound of vintage gear, but I asked myself the question, what is it that I like about vintage gear? And 9 times out of 10, what I like about vintage gear that's not broken is I like the sound of the transformer. So it's really useful to be able to have transformer sound at your fingertips and to be able to decide how much of that transformer sound you have at your fingertips. So with this transformer circuit, you just turn it on and then you choose how much transformer you have, which I think is pretty awesome. Check it out. Listen to the bottom of the sound. Listen to the tightness of the bass drum and the bass together. Without. I'll do it again. It's subtle, but it's pretty awesome. Listen to the connection between the bass drum and the bass, especially the attacks and the thickness of it all. Without. As a reminder, we started on this mix with none of the colors. It sounded like this. And now we're here. So, in summary, you have a grown-up 2-bus, hence the plus, 2-bus plus. An even better sounding circuit, very familiar layout, but 3 added colors, harmonic stimulation, great for a badass, power limiter for the 1-knob power compression trick without headaches, transformer, so you can get that more vintage sound if you want, and fatter sound, the glue if you want to call it that, and an external insert with the ability to use the colors on the whole mix or on stem 13-14 and 15-16 as far as the harmonics and the power limiter goes. Full disclosure, it's important that I should mention that I was lucky enough to be asked to help tune these things so that the harmonics, the power limiter, and the transformer can be as useful as possible for as many different kinds of music as possible. I hope you'll dig it. Have a lovely day. Ciao.